What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please subscribe here and please follow me on Instagram at RussoLifts in case something happens to this channel. You can follow, message me, interact with me directly, and there's daily content on there. Hope to see you guys on Instagram. And what's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. So, switch the Sarm cycle again, moving into a new compound. Like I said, the last episode of the RAD injectable was released yesterday. And honestly, you know, if I continued with the RAD, I could have got a greater recomping effect and I could have made more progress, but really, you got the gist of it. It was really about comparing oral administration to injectable administration, seeing if there was any actual advantage over oral administration or if it was just all hype. But I say that it's way stronger and the bioavailability difference is crazy. And you basically get the gist of what would happen, you know, with RAD if the cycle continued forward. And if people are looking into RAD, they kind of have a gist of what to expect and what they need to, you know, what risk and rewards they have to weigh before they decide to go with something. So moving into injectable YK11. So YK11 is the sketchiest yet most interesting SARM in modern SARMs, in my opinion. That's because it's a modified steroidal SARM. So most of the SARMs you see on the market are non-steroidal. This one, not so much, has a DHT backbone. So DHT backbone meaning if you bring up a DHT compound like Winstrol testosterone and you compare it to YK11, it looks very similar chemical structure wise. Whereas if you compare that to something like Ostarine, they don't really look the same. So it's right off the bat, chemical structure wise, completely different than all the other SARMs. Oral administration has always been insane for me. Like I said, the big interesting part of YK11, there's limited data, virtually no data on it. But the interesting thing about it is its effect on myostatin. So myostatin is basically the end cap plateau that stops you from building too much muscle that you can't sustain and you'll die. So when you look at the Belgian blue cow, just Google Belgian blue cow, that is a genetically modified cow that has no myostatin, and you see it just eats grass all day and just walks around, has massive muscles. And you know, people have different myostatin levels as well. Ronnie Coleman being famous for having naturally really low myostatin. That's probably a factor and variable in why he got so big naturally and was able to compete in the IFBB naturally and make it to the Olympia stage naturally. Obviously, it took a year later on in his career, but he made it to the Olympia stage naturally. And that probably, you know, the myostatin level being obnoxiously low probably had a lot to do with why he was able to progress so far in bodybuilding. So that's why it's interesting. YK11 has been shown in the extremely limited data to lower myostatin. So, oral administration was intense. It feels like an actual PD roid, very strong right off the bat. With injectable, it's even crazier. So, if you saw in the beginning of the bench press, my strength is just through the roof compared to with the RAD. And my strength was gradually going up with the RAD, but it was night and day strength increase as far as the YK11 being added in. It's like that scary, like you got too strong too fast type strength. So that was noted right off the bat. Another issue with YK11, and one of the biggest side effects and why I stay away from it and why my theories are like short term, if you're even going to play around with it, is when you lower myostatin, it's harder on your joints and tendons to keep up. So you can lead to joint and tendon issues. And that's what I normally get reported by people in my DM boxes, joint and tendon side effects with YK11. I can say I'm on day 6 or 7. Again, it's off the top of my head, but I can already report that I'm feeling it in my joints and tendons. So you got to take that into consideration. You also got to take into consideration that it's DHT, meaning hair loss is extreme. Like, hair loss is definitely a factor with YK11, just like hair loss is a big factor with like Winstrol. So it's not going to cause like little hair loss. Like if you're prone to male pattern baldness, like this is a DHT based compound, it's going to have DHT side effects. So strength went through the roof, muscle fullness through the roof, blood pressure really not that affected. Again, with the oral dosing, I was, utilizing it around pre-workout. I feel it much longer in my system. I don't know, again, how long the half-life of this injectable form is, or how they're even, how the quote-unquote ester tapers off the levels or anything. But it feels like it's lasting longer. I started off with, again, just my test base with injectable YK. Then I wanted to utilize my theory because I don't plan on experimenting with YK11 that long because of the joint and hair issues. I did want to see how crazy it was because YK11 is one of the craziest compounds. I'm sure people in the comment section can agree with me. It's no joke. And even the most experienced gear users are like, what the fuck, Russo, with YK11? And, I completely agree. And the injectable is just a step up with greater bioavailability than the oral counterpart. So, yeah, my theory would be, like my theory was in the previous past videos on YK11, would be your myostatin creeps up as the cycle continues, meaning when you go on a cycle, your body's going to start to limit the amount of muscle you gain as the cycle continues. That's why people blast and cruise, meaning they go back to a lower dosage, cruise, let their myostatin come back down, or they completely get off and let their myostatin come back down. My theory would be, since YK11 is so harsh on joints and tendons and stuff, because it's growing muscle way faster than everything else can keep up, that you would utilize it at the end of a cycle to lower your myostatin as your myostatin is quote-unquote raising. Normally, you would put that in to either stop or reverse that, which would yield more cycle results, more gains. And my theory would also be to combine it with a GH pathway. So any of the peptides, 677 or straight up HGH, would keep IGF even higher, which would allow for more muscle growth. So my little experiment, I'm only going to do like 1 or 2 episodes because, I'm not running this long, so apologies. But my theory would be, I'm going to test it, would be to, again, add in IGF-DES as well as 677, which in this footage, I'm utilizing all 3 of those compounds, meaning my IGF-1 is extremely high, my myostatin theoretically is low, calorie surplus is as much as I can handle, and the results of this combination are pretty crazy because I weighed myself at the gym yesterday at 235, and I really haven't gained much body fat at all, and it's a little bit crazy. I'm like waking up leaner and fuller every day. It's been a wild experience. The water weight hasn't caught up to me with the 677 just yet. I might look like a balloon or a blimp next time you see me. I'm trying to, keep the retention to a minimum so you can actually see the gains. But my fullness, pumps in the gym, my pumps are so painful. I remember even the oral administration method, my hands would get pumped. Like everything would get pumped. The myostatin effect is no joke, and it's just a wild one for sure. I think myostatin is the end term game changer as far as muscle growth is concerned with genetic modification, meaning one day, in my opinion, you'll be able to just go to a geneticist who has figured out the DNA to a T to where it's not dangerous at all to modify genes. And they'll just go in there, lower your myostatin levels a bit, and it'll be way easier to progress in the gym because, like I said earlier in this talk, Ronnie Coleman had a massive advantage of having low myostatin levels naturally. So when you add in gear on top of low myostatin levels, which is like what I'm mimicking with the YK11 test base and GH pathway, which is IGF-DES and 677, you can see why he was able to progress extremely far, and Myostatin being, in my opinion, one of the kings of what holds people back. Obviously calories and everything, but like biochemically speaking, I feel like Myostatin is very interesting, and we will see even better Myostatin inhibitors. And there are ones on the market, but there's no data on them at all, or any logs on them at all. But I think that's the future of muscle growth as far as that goes. Once they find a safe myostatin inhibitor, it could be the biggest game changer in bodybuilding. It would be like, when GH entered bodybuilding, the game-changing physiques. You kind of see that with the myostatin inhibitors. I feel like that's the next crazy step in freakish, big rammy monster mass, insane, unmaintainable physiques. But, people want to see freak type level. I think Myostatin is the next thing on the list. GH being, the last big thing when Dorian brought GH into the scenes and the size. And then steroids were the one that, started bodybuilding off. So that's my thoughts. Currently weighing in at 235. You can see my leanness and definition really hasn't changed from the rad logs. So I'll keep you posted. Like I said, I'm not going to be utilizing this that long because of all the side effects I mentioned. Hair loss definitely being an issue, as well as joints and tendons not being able to keep up. But we'll see the results I can pull out. But I already told you it's not a YK11 only anymore. I did add in the GH pathway being IGF-DES when I can, 677, as well as test base. So that's what it currently is, and I'm excited to see the next couple of days what kind of results I can pull out. And then next year we'll cut it all up and see what I look like shredded. So I appreciate everyone who's been following me and all the new subscribers. I will see you guys in my next video.
Yeah. Rap Diablo. It's the Rap Diablo. Macho when I drop flows. Bar gets raised up. It's me and Petey Pablo. Colder than Gazpacho. Colder than the mono. Rapping head honcho. Rocking shows like I was Bono. I go play a couple keys on the piano. The industry a lie. All the promises were hollow. Follow me, I can show you where we bees at. How'd I get my G pass? None of your fucking beeswax.